All right, it is 7 o'clock, so let's go ahead and call this Town of Sheffield Select Board meeting to order on June 8th. I do want to announce that this is being recorded, and thank you, CPSB, for being with us again. You guys did also a wonderful job last night at town meeting. And I'm going to ask everyone to mute their microphones unless they are speaking and recognized. I'm not concerned about Rhonda or the two select board members, but we've had a lot of background noise on some of these previous meetings, so let's just kind of try to eliminate that to start with. I want to announce that tonight on the select board, we have a full board. We have Martin Mitzoff, Bob Kilmer, and Renee Wood from our town administrative side. We have Rhonda Lombard. All right. So,
excuse me, Renee.
Do we have everyone identified, Rhonda?
No, the only one I need is 229-3675.
Elizabeth Garcia.
Thank you.
Thanks, Betsy. All right, so let's get into the meeting. Our first action item is approval of minutes. Is there a motion?
This is Martin. I'll make a motion that we approve the minutes from the executive session held May 6th, 2021, the working meeting held May 17th, the regular meeting held May 17th, the working meeting of 18th of May, the working meeting of the 24th of May, and the 27th of May working meeting site visit.
Bob, would you like a second?
Yes, I'll second that. I forgot I'd muted.
Okay, thank you, Bob. We have a motion and a second on all of those minutes. Is there any discussion by the board? If not, let's do a roll call vote. Martin?
I, except for the meeting of the 27th of May of the site visit that I did not attend, so I will abstain from that.
Okay, Bob?
Aye.
All right, Renee, aye. All right, on to our next business. Apparently, we forgot, and I'll take the blame on that, to elect a clerk at our reorganization meeting. So I do need a nomination for a clerk for our board.
I'll nominate Martin Mitzoff as clerk.
I would second that if he's willing to accept again.
I am willing to accept. Thank you very much.
Okay, is there any further discussion?
Nope.
Okay, let's do a roll call vote. Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee? Aye. And Martin, thank you for accepting this again. Very much appreciated. All right, our next item is discussion regarding a letter that we all received regarding the dirt road and road safety. I believe we have all had a chance to read this, and before we have any discussion on it, I would just like to, I guess, maybe open the discussion by saying that I very much appreciated this letter. I think most of the information conveyed in here we are aware of, that it is always good to receive citizens' correspondence, and I just wanted to convey, as we have before, that one of the projects this summer is to go over kind of a review of all of our roads, speed limits, somewhat of condition, what particular signage we might need to put on it, different times of the year for different roads. So those all will be open discussions, and I'm thinking we're going to probably try to start those in July. We've got a number of things to get us through this month, but those are kind of my comments on it. Again, thank you. I have no questions to anyone who has written this. I appreciate several of the people being on the meeting tonight. Martin, did you have any comments that you would like to make?
No, other than, again, thank you to the citizens that put that together.
Ron, how about you?
Renee, can I have him for a minute? I need whoever is DF to let me know who they are, please.
I don't know why I have to say DF, but my name is Dana Friedman, and my husband is here too.
Okay.
But, Wait,
Thank you, Dana.
okay,
Okay.
sorry.
Great.
Okay.
We're good.
O'Connell, we live on Glenanna Way in Sheffield.
Okay, and we're discussing the letter right now, so your timing is very good. Bob, did you have any discussion on this? Anything that you would like to say?
Nothing more than what you and Martin have already stated, that it's always good to have feedback from the community so you understand what their point of view is and where they're coming from. So,
Okay, and this letter will, I'm sure, inform our discussion as we go forward with reviewing the road situation. So, Rhonda, did you have anything else that you wanted to add on this topic?
No, thank you, Lena.
Okay, so again, I'm not necessarily going to open this for discussion with members, participants, because I think I hope we've very clearly conveyed that we understand what you wrote us, we appreciate it, and we're going to take it into consideration. When we do the overall road review, those will be posted as open meetings. We'll look forward to your participation. I do want to let you know that I am not aware, and I'll ask other board members and Rhonda to comment on this. I am not aware of any plans in the foreseeable future to do any dirt road paving. So I want to kind of put your mind at ease on that. And just, any other board or Rhonda comments.
This is Martin, also not aware of any plans whatsoever to pave any of the existing dirt roads. We know that many citizens, including myself, appreciate the dirt roads in Sheffield. So thank you.
Anybody else? Otherwise, I'm moving on. Rhonda, Bob?
no, I'm good.
I do the scheduling with Jim in the chapter 90, and there's 0 plans to pave any dirt road in the town.
Okay, and also I do want to add that probably Rhonda, when do you think it would be? Probably the first meeting in July, if not our next meeting. You always announce which roads are going to be subject to use of Chapter 90 funds.
Yes, I will announce it. I'm not sure it'll be, it might be the first one in July. Hopefully it is. We have to get through conservation issues and get a couple things out first.
Okay, excellent. All right. So the next item is discussion possible action regarding cannabis-related legislation. I think this is at the state level, and Bob, this is your item, so would you care to discuss it? We all have the letter from the town of Athol that was included in our packet.
Yes, basically it was a piece of mail sent to the town of Sheffield regarding their ideas and thoughts as far as how cannabis related monies can be spent, and I really felt it put a good point on it, and it leaves a lot of unanswered questions tied up. So I feel we should support this letter or draft letter with similar language as to the way this was presented.
Okay, and just to summarize this letter, this is from the town of Athol. Bob, correct me if I get this wrong. Basically, there is proposed legislation at the state level that would have to do with the community impact fees that we are now allowed to collect, and this is the town, their board and town manager basically took some positions on this, trying, I think, in the most part, to try and keep a fair amount of this out of the state's hands and in the hands of the local communities. Is that how you read it, Bob and Martin?
Exactly.
Yes.
Okay.
It adds a lot of clarity, and I would support his position as the way he stated it.
Okay. So, am I hearing that that you're asking the board to support writing a similar letter mirroring these points, to the various House members, including our own delegation?
Exactly.
Okay. So do you want to draft that letter? Do you want me to draft it? Somebody's got to do it.
I'm sure you would do a much better job than I would drafting the letter, but if no one else will do it, I will take it up.
Okay. So, Rhonda, do we have any more room on our agenda on Thursday? I know that working session is getting to have a pretty big agenda.
If you're for this letter to review and sign it, yes, Renee, I'll put it in.
Okay. So, Bob, I'll draft a letter trying to reflect this as well as the So, and we'll get it out in the packet, and we will take a vote on it on Thursday. That working session is now posted. Is that correct, Rhonda?
It is.
Yeah. So, if anyone wants to join in on that, it is posted on our town website as well as outside. And Rhonda, I haven't just looked at that yet. That's going to be at what time on Thursday?
2.
2. Okay. And that is still going to be a Zoom meeting. We'll talk about what we're doing regarding board commission meetings a little bit later in the agenda. Okay. So I'll take that responsibility, and we'll look at it on Thursday, and we'll get that out plenty of times so board members can take a look at it and modify it if you wish. And Bob, thank you for bringing this forward. All right, our next item is announcements of positions for appointment of fiscal year 22, which starts on July 1st. I think Martin at the last meeting did an excellent job of reading all of the positions that were open. What has basically, this is a situation, Rhonda, where you have filled in all of the names of people who have set letters of interest in so far?
Correct.
Okay. So, Martin, would you like to read this, or would you like Rhonda to read it?
I'm happy to read it to follow on from our last meeting.
Excellent. Why don't you do so?
So for the Agricultural Commission, there are 4 vacancies. Bob Gilmer has put forth his request for appointment. On the Agricultural Commissions, no names have been brought forward yet. For the alternate positions, for Animal Control Officer, we have Cassie Keeley, and for Animal Inspector, we have Cassie Keeley, member of the public, where she is our current Animal Control Officer and Animal Inspector. On the Ashley Falls Historic District Commission, 2 vacancies remain with regard to the appointed positions. There is Catherine Miller has expressed interest. Catherine, correct me if I'm wrong, in the alternate position. Is that correct, or is it on the actual Ashley Falls Historic District Commission?
I said I would serve 1 year, which means I can only serve as an alternate.
Okay, thank you. For the Berkshire Regional Planning Commission delegate, Renee Wood has put forth her name for appointment. For the
That's Martin, excuse me, that's his alternate.
as alternate, thank you.
The delegate has to come from the planning board.
Okay, thank you. For the position of principal assessor, Tammy Blackwell has put forth her name. Of course, she is the current principal assessor. On the Board of Assessors, we still have 1 vacancy, no candidates there. For the Board of Health, 1 vacancy position, Scott Smith, who is our current Title V and sanitation inspector, has put forth his appointment request, as has Lauren Hine. On the Board of Registrars, Holly Aragi has put forth her name for appointment. She is currently a member of the Board of Registrars. Building Inspector is Paul Green, seeking appointment for a 1-year vacancy. The Cemetery Commission remains 1 vacancy. Commission on Disabilities, 1 vacancy remains. For the Conservation Commission, we have 3 vacancies. Ted Pittman has put forth his interest in continuing to serve the commission. For the position of constable, we have 2 vacancies. Both Bruce Person and Jim McGarry have put forth their names for appointment. For the Council on Aging, we have 3 vacancies. Eileen Clark has put forth her name. As everyone knows, she is a current member of the Council on Aging. On the Cultural Council, we have 4 vacancies. Gillian Pettinger and Hester Bellmans have both put forth their names. Both already serve on the cultural council as well. For electrical inspector, Mr. Lining has put forth his name for that vacancy. For the assistant electrical inspector, Butch Ray has put forth his name for appointment. For the emergency management coordinator, we still have one vacancy open. For the fire chief, we have one vacancy open, although that will change this week. The five-town cable advisory board, we have two vacancies, no names there yet. For the gas and piping inspector, Bob Krupski, currently serving that position, has put forth his request for appointment. And the gas and piping inspector assistant, Bob Gennari, has put forth his name as well. Health inspector, we still have one vacancy for 1 year. On the historical commission, we have four vacancies. Both Dennis Sears and Priscilla Cote have put forth their names. They are currently serving. On the housing commission, Kathy Orlando has put forth her name. We still have another vacancy there. Kathy is serving on the housing commission now. We still have two alternate positions on the housing commission open with no interest expressed yet. For the parking clerk, Phyllis Joyce has put forth her name for appointment. She's currently serving in that position. And on the planning board, alternate member Pat Levine has put forth her name again for appointment. For plumbing inspector, Bob Krupski. For plumbing inspector assistant, Bob Gennari again. For police officers full-time, we have two vacancies. Jake Donska and Michael Norris have both put forth their names for appointment. They are currently serving the town of Sheffield Police Department. For police officer reserve intermittent, we have three vacancies. Jen Brown has put forth her name. She is currently serving as a reserve intermittent. For the position of public weigher, we have four vacancies, no names put forth yet for those appointments. The recycling coordinator, Renee Wood, has put forth her name. She currently is serving as the recycling coordinator. For sanitation inspector, Scott Smith has put forth his name. He is currently serving in that position. Town clerk, Phyllis Joyce, currently serving in that position. Town council, KP Law, currently serving in that position. The veterans agent, Lori Hills, has put forth her name. I believe she is serving in that position now. Zoning Board of Appeals, we still have one vacancy there. And Catherine Miller has put forth her name for the Zoning Board of Appeals alternate position. And that's it.
Okay, thank you, Martin. Well done. As people can see, we have a lot of vacancies left open, and I know I was very heartened at last night's special town meeting where several people stepped up, talked to me about that they were going to apply for positions. People can apply for more than one position, as we noted that Catherine has done. That's allowed, but we need to fill these positions. And I know at our annual town meeting, there were a number of people who voted against the selectmen stepping up and filling unopened positions, such as on the Conservation Commission or other boards. So, we do need to have these board staff. We do need to have forums so they can conduct business. So it's not too late to put your letter in of interest. All you need to do is send an email to Rhonda or just drop a note in the mail. But we will be appointing at the next meeting. We'll read everybody's name off again, and then we will be appointing. So please, now is the time to step up. I need to have everyone mute their phone if they're not a board member or Rhonda until you're called on. And Rhonda, do we have an accurate record of who's on the call? I noticed there were several people who have joined us, for which I'm appreciative.
No, 822-0617.
Kathy Orlando?
Thanks, Kathy. And then we have Tom.
Tom, could you give us a last name?
And then Suzanne.
Suzanne, could you unmute yourself and give us a last name, please?
Grant?
Thank you. Are we good, Rhonda?
Just except for Tom, who doesn't seem to be replying.
Okay, so let's move on.
Tom is muted.
Tom, would you like to unmute yourself and tell us your last name? Okay. Martin or Bob, did you wish to add anything to my appeal for volunteers?
No, thank you.
No.
No? Okay. Let's go to our next item. We have a resignation from the Ashley Falls Historic District Commission. Rhonda, could you just inform the board on this?
So Peter Rawson is stepping down from the Ashley Falls Historic District Commission effective June 30th.
Motion to approve Peter Wilson's resignation from the Ashley Falls Historic District Commission.
Second.
Any further discussion? A roll call vote. Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee? I'd like to make a motion that we send Peter a letter of appreciation for his service on that board. I think, Martin, did you second that?
Yeah.
Okay, so any discussion? Roll call vote. Martin? Bob?
Aye.
Renee? Aye. Next item is ratification of moderator's appointment to the Finance Committee. Somehow I have my notes that we did this at the May 17th meeting. Have I got that wrong? Do we need to do this again? Or, Rhonda, do you have a sense on this?
I'm not sure, Renee. I'd have to look back at the minutes, but I guess if we're here, if you just don't mind doing it again, then
yeah, okay. Let's do it again. If we haven't already done it, it doesn't hurt. Is there a motion on this?
Motion to ratify the moderator's appointments to the Finance Committee, including Colin Smith and Ken Smith.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? Roll call vote. Martin.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Renee, aye. And we also have the appointment of a treasurer collector. Rhonda, would you help us with this, please?
I will. Last week, the board interviewed 2 employees who put in letters of interest to serve as the collector treasurer to replace Alicia, who left us to go to Great Barrington. One of the employees decided during the interview that it really wasn't what she thought it was, so she withdrew her application. And so the board made a motion to make an offer to Monique Belair, who's currently the assistant to the collector treasurer. And I worked with her this week, and we have an agreement. She's accepted the position, so this will be the official appointment of Monique Belair as collector treasurer.
And Monique's been the assistant for close to 3 years?
That's almost 3 years.
Okay, all right. Is there a motion on this matter?
So moved.
Second.
Okay, so this motion and second are for the appointment of Monique Belair as Sheffield's new collector treasurer. Any discussion?
This is Martin. I just want to say that had there been 10 other applicants, my guess is that we would have centered on Monique Belair for the position anyway. So I'm very pleased that she's accepted that position.
And would you like to explain why, Martin? You feel this way?
Because she has been so incredibly cooperative with members of the public, so very competent in picking up new ways of doing things, making recommendations to our former treasurer collector, and she's just a very approachable person for that position, always willing to help, always willing to do the job. And it's just such a pleasure to have people like that as we do in other areas of town government.
Okay. Any other discussion? Otherwise, I'll do a roll call. She did an incredible interview, too. And just unbelievably good. So let's do the roll call vote. Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee? Aye. Rhonda, would you just give us an update on where we are on filling the now open position of assistant collector treasurer?
So we have the ad prepared, but we missed the deadline for the shopper's guide. I thought it was one day. It was actually the day before. So that's going to come out in the shopper's guide, not this week, next week. And we will also put it up on the town website on Monday. And I believe we're also going to put it up on Indeed. That's where we were able to have Monique apply 3 years ago. It was on Indeed. So we'll put it up on there as well.
Okay, so it's open to anyone. I think you're posting the requirements also. Hopefully we'll have a good list of candidates for that position.
Yes.
All right. So, Rhonda, would you give us an update on the special town meeting last night?
So the special town meeting was held last night. There was a very small little bit of discussion regarding it, and then the question was called, and it was a secret ballot vote. Bruce was elected to moderate the meeting again, and the vote was 184 to 37, approving the citizens' petition, which will limit the marijuana outdoor grow facilities to 5. Currently, there's no limit, and now there is a limit of 5 once the Attorney General gives their approval for the bylaw.
Okay, and could you just let people know what the Attorney General does when her office reviews not only this town meeting action, but they're also reviewing our previous meeting actions of town meeting in May. Could you just give people an idea of what goes on and when we might see something, which I know is kind of asking you to predict a little bit?
Right. I can't predict on how busy they are, especially this time of year with even just regular town meetings, and all of the towns have to prepare this package, and there's quite an extensive list of the information that they require the town clerk send. So they'll want a copy of the petition, they'll want to see what planning board did for action on that, they'll want the town meeting results, they'll want the minutes from the town meeting. So in talking with Phyllis today, she thought she might be able to get that out the door this afternoon or even tomorrow. And then we just have to wait for them to send back and say that everything is approved, or we need more information, or they disapprove it. So it's all in.
It's going to be in the AG's hands in a matter of days. So I'm hoping that will kind of let people know where everything stands and such. I really would like to make a motion that we send a letter of thanks to the incredible support we got from the school, particularly Jeremy Wells and Chris Thompson, and also to Bruce Person, who stepped in as moderator, and was Nadine our assistant moderator in the gym?
Yes.
So I'd like to make a motion that we send letter of thanks to all of those individuals, as well as the fire department for coming in and picking up a lot of the tasks of seating and people and kind of keeping order.
And Chief
Munson. Thank you. Was that a second?
Second.
Okay. Any discussion on this? Okay. Roll call vote. Martin. Bob.
Aye.
Renee. Okay. Great. So we have a letter. Our next item is appointment of gender warrant approval officer for the fire department, but the letter that we have in our packet, unless I'm out of date, is for the fire department training officer.
Yeah. Do you want me to clarify that?
Well, yes, thank you.
Okay. So Mark Wasaki, who has been doing coordinating all of the training for the fire department in conjunction with the other officers of the fire department, has put forth his name to be appointed by the Selectboard as the Sheffield Volunteer Fire Department Training Officer. Part of the process of the training, as you all know, is that with the town paying practice stipends for those firefighters that show up on Wednesday nights for practice as part of the regular training program that the fire department has. Part of that involves paying them stipends for that training on Wednesday nights. I just want to add as a kind of an editorial, the firefighters undertake a lot more training than that on their own time, on weekends, everything else. But in this particular case, the town has agreed to pay the firefighters stipends for the practices that they show up to throughout the year, with a couple of exceptions for holidays. So in order to remove the current chief from the process of signing off on the warrants for the payment of those stipends, because there are members of his family that are firefighters as well, Mr. Lasaki would be the one doing the preparation of the warrant for stipend payroll. I'd probably work with him as the chief's administrative assistant there to do that, and we'd effectively remove the chief from that process. Again, Mark has said that he'll do that and he'll work with me to do that. So the actual position as I think Dave, the chief, submitted to the town was that he be appointed the fire department training officer, and the position goes with the responsibility to do the stipends for firefighter practice.
Okay, that is in the letter. Rhonda, do we have any problem with how this is posted in approving this?
Well, I'd like to add something for the discussion. Martin, I thought this was also for the vendor warrants when maybe Pittsfield Communication was on the warrant. That's how I posted. That's what I posted.
That's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anytime that there would be a regular fire department warrant for the payment of all expenses related to the fire department, and that warrant included a potential invoice from Pittsfield Communication Systems, another officer, for example, the deputy chief, well, not in this case the deputy chief, but another officer would basically communicate to the chief that he has approved the expense for example, for repairs of portable units or things like that. The chief would not be signing off on the warrant as it relates to an expense from Pittsfield Communication Systems, and that is because the chief is a employee of Pittsfield Communication Systems. So we're removing him from the appearance of a conflict of interest. Not that there have been any warrants in my recent recollection that included Pittsfield Communication invoices, but we're removing him as well as the deputy chief, as well as two other members of the fire department, one of whom is an officer who is also an employee of Pittsfield Communications. We're effectively removing them from the process of approving any PCS invoices under those warrants. So it wouldn't necessarily, it could be Mark, but it might not be Mark. It could be someone else, some other officer of the fire department, basically asking the town administrator and the accountant that for this particular invoice, the chief has not approved it. Some other officer has approved it because they are an important vendor for the town.
Okay. So I have difficulty moving this item forward, given the way that it is listed on the agenda, and given the letter that goes with it. So I'd like to table this until our next meeting. And Martin, if you could work with the chief to get what you just said in a letter, okay? To one deal with Mark as, because I think we've already appointed him as the training officer. Okay, I think we did that. No? All right, so when we want to get in the letter, help me here, but I think we want to get the appointment of Mark as the training officer, the request for the appointment for Mark as signing off on the training stipends, which have been ongoing for several years. This is just nothing. This isn't anything new this year. This has been going on for several years. Then, if you can get also in that letter the issue of what's going to happen when There is an invoice from Pittsfield Communications, how that's going to be handled, and we've already seen a non-disclosure of potential conflict of interest from the chief and at least one other firefighter. So we got that covered. Let's just kind of wrap this up in a letter that goes with the warrant article. I mean, the article on the meeting agenda. Okay, can we do that?
Yeah, I just want to correct you though. It's a disclosure statement.
A disclosure. Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Yeah. Will that work? And at our next meeting, we'll have the agenda item match the letter.
Yes, I'll put it on for the next agenda.
Okay, good. Bob, you okay with that? Bob, you okay with it?
Yes.
Okay, great. All right, so we're going to pass over on that. So we have action regarding 2 one-day alcohol beverage licenses. Rhonda, could you help us, please?
Right. So the first one is from Black Sheep Brewing Company, doing business as a Big Elm Brewery. Brewery. They're looking for a one-day license to sell beer at the Sheffield Pride celebration on June 25th.
Motion to approve.
Second.
And everything's in on this, Rhonda?
Yeah.
Okay. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Martin.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Renee, aye. Second one, please.
So this one is from Five Senses Events and Design, who are doing a wedding, a small 40-person wedding at the Dewey Hall on June 19th.
Again, motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Martin.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Renee, aye. All right, next we have 3 curb cuts. Rhonda, and we all have documentation on this. Rhonda, could you walk us through it, please?
Sure. So the first one is for Corinne and Kevin McInerney on Home Road in Sheffield. They are doing a new home construction with a curb cut. It's been signed off on by the Highway Superintendent Jim Collingwood and Chief Munson.
Again, motion to approve the curb cut for Corinne and Kevin McNerney.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Rhonda, I'm going to ask you, I know somewhere on this document it says what the width of the driveway can be. I'm also wondering, when we look at this, Jim Collingwood, our highway superintendent, is putting in a number of additional items, which I think are excellent. But this form is beginning to look a little interesting. So I'm wondering if we could ask to maybe have this form maybe over the next couple of months, if time allows, maybe update it a little bit to give Jim a little bit more room, so he doesn't have to be widening out all the time. So with that, let's take a roll call vote. Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee, aye. Number 2?
So the second one is for Dave Ulrich, who is looking for a curb cut at 130 Hewing Street to allow him access into his field.
Okay, is there a motion on this?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call vote, Martin.
Aye.
Bob.
Aye.
Renee, aye. Number 3?
So the third one is for Janice Spindler, who is looking for a curb cut off of Hickey Hill Road. That's also been approved by both the highway superintendent and the police chief.
Motion?
I'm sorry, I would make a motion to approve curb cut for Janice Finley on Hickey Hill Road.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call vote, Martin. Bob.
Aye.
Renee, aye. Okay, So our next item is discussion possible action regarding a thank you letter to Mass DOT. We have this, and I think this has been updated to show that they have completed the maintenance road work on 7A, which really makes it a lot easier driving down that road. Board members, how do you feel about this letter? Do you have an edit? Do you want to go forward with this discussion?
I'd make a motion to go forward.
I second that.
Okay, so that's approved and sent as drafted.
Correct.
Okay, any further discussion? Okay, roll call vote. Bob?
Aye.
I'll throw you off track here. Martin?
Aye. And thank you.
Trying to see if we were sleeping, huh?
Yeah, okay. Martin, I think that was a yes?
It was a yes, and I said thank you.
Okay, thank you. Renee, yes. Now, Rhonda, let's just take a moment because I'm sure that there are people who would like to know what is going on with the 7A sidewalk improvements. Can you just give us a quick update? I know the Historical Society at the state level was to have met sometime early this week, but can you just give us an update as to where we are on this?
So the Ashley Falls Historic District Commission held a hearing or discussed it at their meeting, and they've issued the approval on their end for the work to continue. That's all been sent off to the DOT in Lennox, as well as the Historic Society or the Commission in Boston. So again, we're waiting for the state to make a decision on when the work will begin again.
Okay, and so it's kind of on hold for the moment, but there is a plan to get it going, and we just have to wait for the state. And again, I think this town has a very positive and very productive relationship with Mass DOT Region 1 in Lennox. So as soon as we know anything more, we will let people know. And thank you, Rhonda, for that update. All right. Our next item is ratification of a agreement with the Sheffield Police Officers Association. Rhonda, would you bring us up to date, please?
Sure. So our contract or our agreement with the police officers in Sheffield was set to expire on June 30th. So we began meeting, the chief and I began meeting with the team from the union, the association. I think we held probably about 6 sessions, and I think we all learned a lot about where each side was coming from. And with a lot of asks and a lot of tear downs, we were able to come to an agreement. I think everyone is somewhat happy. I don't think anybody walked away, both sides being very happy, but they're somewhat happy with what we decided on. There was a lot of language changes in bringing the contract up to date. Some of the things regarding detail pay, that was increased by $1 a year, which is not something that the taxpayers pay. They do essentially in a way, but if National Grid needs the detail, National Grid pays for that. Those types of things for details. There was some reason we had a strange clause in there that there were different holidays for full-time officers and for part-time officers. So we made that even across the board. A holiday is a holiday. I think we all agreed to that. And then there was a salary increase of 2.25 for each year for 3 years, which is the length of the contract. It's a 3-year contract.
And it was ratified by the Police Officers Association here in Sheffield. And now what we need to do is have the board and decide if it's going to ratify it. Before we take that motion up, I really want to thank Rhonda a lot. She negotiated this by herself, keeping us informed. A lot of good back and forth between the board and Rhonda as our negotiator, but she did a good job, and I really want to thank her for this. It was a hard negotiation. I think everybody worked very hard on this, but Rhonda represented the board and the town extremely well. So, board members?
This is Martin also with a huge debt of gratitude to Rhonda, who really did the negotiations firsthand and kept the board informed. I would make a motion that the select board ratify the agreement between the town of Sheffield and the Sheffield Police Officers Association.
And I'll second.
Is there any further discussion? All right, roll call vote. Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee? Aye. Okay, so we're going to ask Rhonda next to give us an update on opening of town buildings. We all know the library is going to do its own thing, as they're allowed to do under state law. But Rhonda, would you let us know what's going on with that? And also, if you would, at the end of that, just let us know what the board has decided, or let the people who are attending the meeting know what the board has decided regarding meetings of boards, commissions, and committees.
So the senior center, their calendar and their newsletter has gone out again. They're becoming very active with meals, exercise. I believe they're going to begin playing games, those types of things. So I know that Kathy has issued a newsletter and a calendar, and I will make sure that that gets put up on the website if it's not already up there. And then as far as the town hall goes, we will fully open on July 1st, which is a Thursday. And the doors will just be open the way they normally were, Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday. They will remain closed on Wednesday. And then as far as the meetings in person, the board has decided that along with the governor's lifting of the state of emergency on June 15th, that all meetings will resume to in-person meetings to be held in the library, the town hall, or the senior center beginning June 16th.
I think along with that, I think we're going to have some signage, and we are going to request that people who have not been vaccinated wear a mask. Those who have been vaccinated may wear a mask if they wish, or may not wear a mask. And we're going to ask everyone to respect a person's right to wear a mask if they wish. And again, we're not going to be asking people if they're not vaccinated, but for your protection as well as the protection of the other residents who would be attending meetings, we are going to ask that you do wear a mask. But I'm mostly concerned about making sure that that's adhered to. We're not, again, going to be policing this. We're all grown-ups, but that we respect the right of those of us who do wish to wear a mask to be able to do so, and that there's no hassle on it. Board members, do you want to add anything?
I think you said it well.
I agree, you said it well.
Okay, all right. So we're about to really change things. I also do want to let people know that in coming into Town Hall, once that's open July 1, you, and Rhonda, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you can still use the mailbox outside. A lot of people have gotten very used to, just drop the stuff off and you're on your way. You don't have to come into Town Hall. You don't have to go back to the way of doing business. Is that correct, Rhonda, that they can still use the outside mailbox?
That's absolutely correct. And we will continue if anyone would like to put things outside for people to pick up too. That would be their choice. If they're more comfortable with that, we're happy to tape it to the door or leave it on the back burner.
Okay, so it's going to be interesting to watch this happen, but it's wonderful that it is. All right, with that, let's go to our next item, which is board items. Martin?
I just have two quick things. One, I want to thank everybody, every citizen of the town of Sheffield for helping us get to where we are today with the governor lifting the state of emergency on June 15th. It was a Herculean effort. I know it was travail for a lot of people and hand-wringing for some, but in the end we persevered, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel is actually almost shining right above us right now. So that's a good thing. So thank you all for that. Secondly, the Massachusetts Fish and Wildlife Group Department is going to be hosting a very interesting seminar on living with bears at the Sheffield Town Park on June 17th at 5:30 p.m. Cassie
Wow.
Keeley, yes, Cassie Keeley, our animal control officer, who has worked with the Board of Health before to try to educate people about bears and feeding bears and so forth, has worked with people at Mass Fish and Wildlife, and she has invited Andrew Madden, who is a specialist in this arena, to come out and give a presentation on how we can live with bears. So that's June 17th at 5:30 p.m. at the Sheffield Town Park.
Rhonda, could we get that up on our calendar?
Yes.
Okay, I have a feeling that's going to be a fascinating session. I think it'd be wonderful. Okay, thank you, Martin. Bob?
I'd just like to thank the residents of Sheffield and the non-residents that attended the special town meeting, that were civil, followed protocols, and really did a fine job representing the town. So I would just like to thank them.
Okay. All right, I have two items. I congratulated all the recent graduates at our last meeting. I think it was a little early, so I want to congratulate them again. It's been a challenging year, to say the least, and I can't imagine being a senior, given what our senior year meant to all of us to have them go through what they went through. But they were great, and I wish them congratulations on their graduation, both at the high school and the college level, as well as trade school level. Second, I wanted to echo both Martin's comments as well as Bob's. I'm just hoping that we'll be able to kind of stay where we are as a safe community and get on with our lives and not go backwards. And so I think that's still going to take some work on all of our parts. But, compared to what's happened in a lot of parts of the country, Sheffield has once again shown what a unique and thoughtful community it is. And I'm extremely grateful for that. So, Rhonda, how about you?
I have one item, Renee. In reviewing the advisory that came over today from KP Law regarding how to handle the transition of the state of emergency being lifted, we issued a state of emergency in March 2020, and so we have to vote to lift that emergency as well on the same day that the state lifts theirs, or any other date that the Board of Selectmen chooses, but it's KP Law's recommendation that it coincides with the state.
Okay, so we're going to do that tonight, and we'll put it on our next meeting agenda, which is going to be two Mondays from yesterday, and we'll put that on for re-ratification because it's not on our as agenda item. But let's get this taken care of, board members, unless you object to it, so that we can get on with opening up.
I'd make a motion that we rescind the state of emergency in conjunction with Governor Baker's rescission of the state of emergency on June 15th.
Second.
So make discussion now, is that good enough?
That's perfect, thank you.
Okay, wonderful. So let's do a roll call vote. Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee? Aye. And our next select board meeting will be on the 21st. All right. Anything else, Rhonda?
No, thank you, I'm good.
Okay. Public comment? Anyone wish to unmute themselves and make a public comment?
Renee, it's Todd McKenzie.
Yes.
First of all, congratulations on rescinding the emergency. That's a long time coming. That's great news, even if it isn't formally ratified. I had just a few questions I wanted to ask relative to the transition in light of yesterday's bylaw change, which now I understand, per the earlier conversation, is going to the Attorney General. One is, can I confirm that there are 5 existing outdoor cultivations presently, such that this cap is in effect once it's approved?
That's correct, isn't it, Rhonda?
I believe there's 6 because I believe Chris Wells has 2. So
But we're talking about locations, not licenses. Would that be
he has 2 locations.
2 locations? Okay,
So I believe there's 6.
okay.
6
Go ahead, Todd.
locations, 5 licenses.
We're not, the bylaw change does not deal with licenses. It deals with physical locations. Okay.
And then, can you just walk me through maybe a little of the transition, the process? What happens until you get the determination back from the Attorney General? Do you act as if that bylaw has changed, or is it just everything goes on pause? I'm not quite sure of the process.
I'm not sure we are either. Rhonda, is that something you can answer, or do we need to consult and figure that one out? The meeting just happened yesterday. Yeah.
Correct. So I have an email into town council who was on the road today, and he said that he will answer that exact question for me tomorrow.
Okay, great. Apologies for being premature.
Oh, no. We're all wondering it, Todd. You're just asking the questions we all have in our minds. So, we appreciate that.
And the last one, and Rhonda, maybe this is in the queue as well. What happens to applications like Wiseacre, obviously, that are in progress relative to the Conservation Commission that had an RDA to file, and the Historic District that received a request for applicability? Do those things just, again, pause? Do they continue to be acted on?
That is in my question to town council as well.
Okay.
So we'll have to get back to you. Okay. I'm sure this is it's something that Rhonda, do you have a way of that we should consider handling this prior to our next meeting on the 21st, where we can let people know the answer to these questions? I don't want to have your office inundated with phone calls.
Well, how about if I send the message over to Mr. McKenzie and he can distribute it? Will that work?
Absolutely, Rhonda. I'll make certain that you don't get inundated. That's why I wanted to be on tonight to raise them. You shouldn't have to deal with the same questions from 100 people.
Okay.
Well, our town administrator always, is as is her whole office, very polite, but it just does get to be, if we can have you take care of the distribution of that, everybody has the same answer, and it allows her to go on with her other responsibilities. That would be great. Todd, is that it?
Renee?
Yeah.
Yeah. Could Rhonda please send that to me, because the Ashley Falls Historic District Commission has got to decide what it's going to do moving forward, so we kind of need to know too.
Yeah, she'll send that to the chair.
That would be Catherine.
That's fine.
Okay. And that also will go to the Conservation Commission, anyone who's involved in this process. So Rhonda's on it. Is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment?
Bonnie has her hand up.
I see it. Okay, Bonnie, you're on.
Okay. First, thank you very much for the way you handled the whole process last evening. It really, from my perspective, went so smoothly, the logistics, everything. So I appreciate all that went into it, especially after we thought it was going to be a sauna and not be able to handle it. So thank you. Secondly, there was a request in terms of being kept up to date on regional planning board meetings. Lynette realized the reason Sheffield Select Board doesn't get the information is out of the 5 Southern Berkshire towns, we're the only one who does not have a select board member on the regional planning board. So Lynette is now adding you to the distribution list. So all agendas that come out for the regional planning board will go to the Sheffield Select Board as of this afternoon. So that's done. And then the thing that I wanted to two questions. One, Rhonda, based upon what you said, you as council's decision, it's basically that any organization, anybody who took like the Southern Berkshire Regional School District went into state of emergency based upon what you heard. I'm not asking you to speak as a lawyer, but the feedback you received is that you have to take an action to rescind the state of emergency for as of the 15th.
Correct.
Okay. And
But just a second, Bonnie. I think Rhonda, we had to do that because I think it was that we did not tie the lifting of our state of emergencies to the governor's lifting of the state of emergency. Is that correct, Rhonda?
If when you declared the state of emergency, you made a motion within your motion or a statement within your motion that said that this will remain in effect until the state lifts theirs, then you don't have to take any action. We did not do that, so we had to actually take action to state that it's being lifted in Bolton.
thank you.
Does that clarify that for you?
Yes,
Bonnie?
it does, because in the original reopening plan, we did that. I don't know if in the most recent one, so we'll have to check, so I appreciate that. The last is just an idea. In doing some research related to Sheffield in the land of marijuana, in reading newspaper articles that spoke about people coming to vacation here, not just for leaf peeping, but for leaf buying, I wonder, what do we do as a town to promote Sheffield? And I know that's a very, very broad question, but I look at so many communities that have put major efforts now into, selling a 21st century positive image community. And I personally think we have so much to offer that we might put a little more effort into selling all the great things. So that's just a general comment. Thank you.
Okay, and that was Bonnie Silvers. Okay.
That was Bonnie Silvers.
Yes, thank you, Bonnie.
15 Bow Wow Road.
Okay. I'm just going to make a comment that with the American Rescue Plan Act money that Sheffield has been given, with a lot of caveats on how it can be used, there is one of the items does deal with economic development, and we're reading to see exactly how that is defined. But I think Sheffield's done a very good job of promoting itself, a lot by word of mouth. I think that's evident by all of the real estate transactions, the people basically, bidding houses up to come here. But that might become something that we might be able to use some of these funds on. But we're just trying to sort through the 151 Treasury interim advisory on this. And you're going to have to do the same thing, I think, from the school point of view, because I think you got money too, if you can figure out how to spend it right. So I think that's to be continued, but I want to thank you for the good idea.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Catherine's got her hand up.
I'd just like to follow up on Bonnie's comment, because something that's kind of gotten swept aside for a lot of different reasons, but I'd like to see us at least figure out how to bring it forward again. There's a group of people who did a lot of work on trying to highlight Sheffield as the kind of the original town in the Berkshires. It's where the Berkshires began. And one of the things we might consider doing is seeing if we can figure out how to make that sign come forward. I don't deny that there ought to be some public support in terms of payment, but I think the people who worked on that feel a little bit kicked in the teeth. And I'd like to think that that particular sign, which I thought was quite striking, could do a lot for the center of town. So I just posit that for future discussion.
Yeah, well, I feel very bad about the people feeling they got kicked on the teeth. It was to be on our special town meeting along with a number of other warrant articles, including the general bylaw recodification and approval. And when you all came forward with the requirement for a special town meeting to deal with the matter that we dealt with last night, it was felt, let's get this done and not add 5 more articles, and thank God we didn't. That could have extended this another God knows what, 30 minutes, 40 minutes, 50 minutes, 2 hours. And so while I do know that they felt that since we said that we should put it on the agenda, the different warrant articles at the special town meeting, and then agreed to limit it to just your article. I'm sorry if the feeling was that they got kicked in the teeth. There was nothing special about that. And it will be on the next special town meeting, which we're hoping to have this late summer, early fall. And the voters have the right to approve it. It was turned down by the Finance Committee as a transfer. It didn't meet the requirements, and the Board of Selectmen felt that it didn't meet the requirements for use of the Berkshire School Fund. So that means there's no money for it without voter approval. And again, I do feel bad if people took it that somehow they were singled out. But that is the way it is, and the board is moving forward to have that article be available to the town voters who show up to approve it or disapprove it. So that's kind of that. Okay.
I understand. The only question I have is, I understand that the finances are the biggest issue here, but I'm just curious to know if the select board thinks that the concept is reasonable. I'm not asking you to support it monetarily. I just like to know if you think the concept is reasonable.
Board members, do you want to? I mean, I think we've been very open in that we did support it. It was a matter of how the money's going to be raised. Is that Martin and Bob? Is that your feeling, or have I missed it here?
My recollection. Go ahead, Bob.
No, you first.
My recollection is that the select board did in fact support it, other than for paying through it to the town budget.
Okay, thank you.
Bob, are you on board with that, or?
I have been on board with the sign. I thought it's a very good idea. The complications have been just, with DOT and then the funding, and we'll get it worked out. There will be a sign.
Right. And, the only other thing is the group had not involved the Ashley Falls group. So since this is town-wide sign, we asked them to go back and make sure that Ashley Falls had input. So, to be honest, I think we've done everything we can except come up with the money.
Okay.
And that's for the voters to do since it's not a budgetary item. Okay?
Thank you.
So any other public comment?
Renee, may I throw one in on Bonnie's suggestion, sign notwithstanding? I love your idea, Bonnie, of advocating and promoting Sheffield, and I know the town does a fair amount of that. If that was something that the select board wanted to engage a group of townspeople, and I'd be happy to take point on it. We have some very talented people. I spent most of my career at PepsiCo in marketing and learned a few things.
Wonderful.
There are other people. I'd love to galvanize a small group and take on that challenge, that charter.
We'll consider that. I know for years we had an economic development committee. And it's still up there on, I think, the town website. We developed, under a grant, of course, a complete new economic development strategy. And there were 3 people, including myself, who were the only people who would volunteer to take this forward. So, we talk about volunteers. That economic development committee has been quiesced for 5 years, 6 years, because nobody would sign up to help. So once again, we'll see what our situation is in the new fiscal year. And if I'd love nothing more than to promote the town and the businesses. And we'll go forward on that. So thank you for your comments, Todd, and for volunteering. So anyone else?
Volunteer as well.
Okay, we've got 2 volunteers. Okay, I'm not going to do an auction tonight, but I do take notes. So is there anyone else who would like to make a public comment tonight? All right. If not, I'm going to ask the board for a final motion.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Before we take a roll call vote, I want to thank everyone for joining us this evening. And I hope that when we go back to in-person meetings, which our next one will be, that people will also feel free to join us. CTSB does record all the meetings, so if you can't make it, you can catch up. And thank you, CTSB. So final roll call vote, Martin?
Aye.
Bob?
Aye.
Renee, aye. Thank you again, everyone. Have a pleasant evening.
Thank you all.
Bye.
Thank you. Good night, all.